Oh man, Cameron Haynes has woken up. I mean, he was always very awake. He was always one of the guests that would, push the envelope and talk about the things people don't talk about. But since he started his podcast, great podcast, by the way, you should check it out. Since he started his podcast, he's like on another level. Like what we're about to hear is him and Joe Rogan talking about the World Health Organization. No better time for me to be wearing this. I was actually going to make one that was for the World Health Organization. And I just might have to do that given what's going on right now. What they're talking about in this clip is the fact that the World Health Organization has started a digital ID of sorts. And if they're not positioning it quite like that, they're trying to kind of position it one way, but essentially it's a digital ID. And then Rogan's going to start to talk about, not giving in. Not giving in. Don't stop giving up your power to these entities, to these organizations, because the more you give up, they're never giving it back. I'm sure you already know that, but it has to be said time and time again, because believe me, there are millions of people who don't know that. There are millions of people who don't feel that way. There are millions of people who think that if you just give up as much power as you possibly can, as many as your rights as you possibly can, you'll be kept safe and secure. I know. It sounds ridiculous. Let's just get to the story real quick before I get into that clip. This is the anti-WEF shirt. Of course, you guys know about that, I'm sure. And the greatest design is the Great Reset. Actually, I shouldn't say the greatest. I like Sold Not For Sale a lot, but this is the newest one that I'm very proud of. You've heard of the Great Reset. This is the Great Resist. And you know what? This is actually very fitting for what I'm about to play for you guys. And as you guys know, the original, the first one that started it all, Sold Not For Sale. Check them out. If you're one of the people who has purchased anything from this store, you are so appreciated. And even if you're just somebody who watches and likes and shares, you're so appreciated as well. Let's get into the actual clip.
You'll never get it. You'll never get sick. You'll never die. And then they all get it. And it's like this whole timeline where you see that lying and selling this fear the whole time and still never admitting it.
Well, it's a narrative. They were given a narrative, and they were told that this is the narrative that you're supposed to relay on television.
How's that different than some messed up country with, some third world country?
It's not, but they thought they could get away with doing it in this case because of a pandemic, because there's an emergency.
Yeah.
And so that's why you have to be very careful about giving up any powers to the government during an emergency, because they'll capitalize on that. They're not stupid. They know this is an opportunity.
Yeah.
They can clamp down on you. Did you see that thing about the World Health Organization? They're in the EU, they're this vaccine passport system that they've devised. You see that? I retweeted it. People are freaking out about this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, you don't give people power. Don't give people power to do things they couldn't do before, because they're going to keep it and they're going to expand. And if you don't fucking hold the line and you think it's a good thing to give in because we all have to be safe, like, oh my God. If you got to be safe, then just tell people about it and the smart people will take it if it's really safe. But if you make them take it, then you can make them do things. If you can make them do things, and if they don't want to do things, then you get to do things to them. You get to take away their money, you get to take away their job, take away their ability to travel. Don't give in to that. You can't give in to that, because you're giving that power to other human beings that you might not agree with, and you might not trust their judgment. And just because they won an election, that means they're smarter than you and they can sense what's really going on better than you. And maybe they're compromised by money. And maybe it's clear that they're compromised by money. Maybe they're in a whole party that's compromised by money, that's in cahoots with a media organization that's compromised by money, and they all spit out the same narrative.
Right.
And they can now tell you can't travel if you don't agree.
I know.
And they don't have to be right. And they don't have to debate it openly. They don't have to have a consensus amongst all the intellectuals where they can do it anonymously, where they don't have any fear of repercussions of their career, which is a lot of people. During this whole thing, they didn't want to speak out about any of it. And the people that did got attacked, and they got attacked directly by the government. There's like real clear organization involved in going after certain scientists that had a specific narrative, certain scientists that weren't towing the line.
Yeah. You had them on here.
Yeah, but not just those guys. There was a lot of other guys too. There's the people from the Great Barrington Declaration. World Health Organization Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus announced digital immunization vaccine certificates, which will be required to participate in society. So listen to this.
While the emergency phase of the COVID-19 pandemic is now over, investments in digital infrastructure remain an important resource for health systems and for economies and societies at large. Like many countries, the European Union made significant investments in COVID-19 certificates to help people move around as safely as possible during the pandemic. The European Union certification system was used by all 27 EU member states and more than 50 other countries. Building on the success of the EU system, WHO is proud today to launch the Global Digital Health Certification Network. So thank you so much to European Union for the excellent certification system that you have.
Now here's the problem. Stop that for a second. It didn't work.
No.
Here's the problem. It's not even an effective vaccine.
Right.
Right? I mean, maybe it saved lives in the beginning. But we read this study from the Cleveland Clinic the other day that was saying that overall in the Cleveland Clinic from the health workers, when they did a survey of them, the ones who got vaccinated the most got COVID the most.
Right.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
So it's not even like it just stops it dead in its tracks like they were saying in the beginning of the pandemic. And yet they're still trying to implement this digital system where you have to take this medicine that they've showed didn't work that good.
You know what it is, though? So he said, based on the success of whatever that was.
Yeah.
What success? So it reminds me of Biden getting on there right now. He's making posts every day about how successful they've been and the most jobs in the history of the presidency of the United States, and economy is coming back better. And it's like,
it's gaslighting.
It's just 100% a lie.
It's just gaslighting. But also,
They know it's not true.
For them to do this is what everybody was worried about. Mm-hmm. Everybody was worried about some global system where you have to opt into it. You can't travel unless you do.
But
everybody was worried about that.
But he's saying on the heels of the success.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
It's so crazy because people are furious. The people that took the vaccine and still got COVID and got very sick are furious that they got lied to.
Well, and the cancer in young adults is skyrocketing, the cancer numbers, based on the vaccine, apparently.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know what the studies say, and I don't know if anybody's doing studies, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I don't know, that's that correlation equals causation thing, but it's something to be concerned with. The uptick in just...
Now, I can only play so much of this before it's like a problem. Wife's messaging me there, dinner's ready. But and what they're saying is really important. What Cam's focusing on, what Joe's focusing on is really important. What I think is a little more important is that this is going to be a digital ID. It's the worst thing that can happen to the world, to America, to Canada, to South America, to Africa, to wherever this goes, which is the world, obviously. This is terrible. And you can tell, and this is why I say it's a digital ID, because they're not even using not the jabs, nothing. They're not using any of that as the reason they're doing it. They're just like, this is still good. We're invested in this technology. It helps. It helps, makes things convenient. I've noticed whenever I hear convenient and easier, all it means is, in my mind, and from what I've seen, is, easier to track people, more convenient for control mechanisms. And that's what I think this is going to turn into. From what he said, especially the fact that it's going to be implemented throughout the world. Now, I don't understand how they have the authority to do this. I don't understand it. I have to look more into this organization because I truly don't feel like they should have the authority. I think somebody was telling me about the treaty, and if every country gives into this treaty, then they have the authority to do this. But until then, I guess this is just, a scary window into what's to come. if that does happen. I don't know. But again, like what they're focusing on, Joe and Cam, very, very important. But I feel like just the fact that there's an organization that wants this put into play, I think that's the thing to focus on. And that's the thing to stop. Because it seems like, and I might be wrong, but they're using the pandemic as a springboard to the digital ID. And that's a real issue. It's a real issue. Like, I get it. Things are happening because of jabs and this and that, and people are trying to avoid them, blah, 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 all that stuff. I get that. But it's the springboard effect that leads us to the digital ID that's a problem. I don't know, man. But it's very worrisome. Very, very worrisome. And like Joe said, stop giving up your power. Stop giving up your rights and your freedoms for safety. Because it's funny because as you do that, I don't know how you feel, but it seems less safe. As you keep giving up, it seems less safe. If you're in a house with somebody and they say, okay, you can run around this whole house freely, but I want to lock the door from the outside. It's like, well, okay, can I open the door? Yeah, you can open the door sometimes. Okay, that seems okay. Just sometimes you're not going to be able to open the door. Okay, seems a little weird. But why? Oh, it's more convenient. It's just convenient and it's good. It's good technology to have a door that locks from the outside. And you can't open sometimes. It's just good. And then you're running around that house and then they're like, okay, well, you're upstairs now and I'm just going to put this little barrier here and you can't really come downstairs anymore. So you can't go you're just going to have to stay upstairs. And it's like, and you just keep saying, you keep agreeing until you're in one room and they're just like, listen, I'm just going to lock this door and you don't really have a say because I've already locked you out from all the other doors. You've lost the freedom to travel this house. You're in this room. You're like, I'm locking the door. Because then, what choice do you have at that point? You have to fight that person. I don't know, man. This is always an upsetting topic for me. Digital IDs are just very, very upsetting. And anybody who's willing to go along with them, they just don't understand. I know some people who will think of it from the government standpoint and, you need it because there's so many people in the world and it's going to help certain people. But it's just like, man, it's not going to help. The juice is not worth the squeeze. That's I'll just say it basically like that. Yeah. And I know everybody that's watching, you probably already feel that way. And I get it. I just, it sucks, man. But I just wanted to show you guys that clip. Again, we're at 2 hours, 16 minutes, 31 seconds. I told you this podcast heats up at 2 hours. Cameron Hanes is asking some very hard-hitting questions, and they're getting into some really deep stuff. And other than that, I am out. Like the video. Oh, man, I forgot. Like the video. It helps so much. You have no idea. Like the video. Share, please. Thank you so much. I'm out.